It is now 6 o'clock. I'll call this regular city council meeting on Tuesday, September 25th, 4th to order. If you'll rise, I'll lead us in invocation followed by a pledge.
Father, thank you for this day. I thank you for the blessings you have given us. Please lead us through tonight's meeting in cooperation to do what's best for this city. Be with all those that are sick and hurting. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Janine, is there any citizens for citizens comment?
I haven't gotten any, sir.
It's a large crowd. Would anybody like to comment? If so, they need to sign in. None. Next, introduction of new city employees. Mitch.
Don't think they're here. No.
Next, we'll consider and approve the minutes from the August 27th regular meeting and September 10th special meeting. If there are no additions or corrections, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Motion's been made by Michael. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been seconded by Kenny. Is there any further discussion? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next, we will consider and approve monthly departmental reports: Police Department, Fire Department, EMS, Code Enforcement, Animal Control, Landfill, Water, Wastewater, Streets and Parks, Municipal Court, monthly financial reports, sales tax collection, property tax collection, and LEDCA and DF boards met. If you have a question, please identify the page.
Are we missing a parks report?
Yes, we just didn't get any time for the deadline on the budget. We'll have it next month. Streets, actually. I did the sanitation stuff. I just did that part.
Are there any other questions? If not, can we get a motion to approve the monthly departmental reports?
Make a motion to approve the monthly departmental reports.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Kenny, seconded by Michael, that we approve the monthly departmental reports. Is there any further discussion? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will consider and approve an ordinance levying taxes for the use and support of municipal government, maintenance and operations, debt of the city of Littlefield, Texas, and providing for interest and seeking fund for the fiscal year 2019-2020, appropriating said levy for specific purposes, and providing for the time and manner of paying the ad valorem taxes levy, providing for publication by caption only, and providing an effective date. Mitch?
Yes, this is our levying our tax for this year. All along, during budget and everything, we planned on doing using the effective tax rate. That's what we used in the budget. The effective tax rate is, of course, a empirical number that generates the same revenue as the year before, given the fact that we had about $6 million increase in valuation. For a regular homeowner that their appraised value doesn't go up, they'd see a slight decrease in the city taxes. Our rate, overall tax rate will drop a little over a penny. So that's all I have to say about that. It was published, so you're okay to clear to pass the ordinance and levy the tax.
Is there any further discussion? If not, can we get a motion to approve the ordinance?
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance for adoption of tax rate.
Motion's been made by Kenny, seconded by Michael. Is there any further discussion? If none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. Next, we'll consider and approve an ordinance amending the City of Littlefield Code of Ordinances, Chapter 4, Article 4.06 Records, amending certain sections thereof to update and amend operation of records and the record business within the city, providing a savings clause, providing a severability, and providing an effective date. Mitch?
Brian worked us up a new ordinance here that closely resembles other towns and how they operate. This is to keep us from having to go back every 3 years and amend our ordinance. Hopefully, these things will be able to, this ordinance will be able to stay good, and then we can do memorandums of understanding as we go. I've got about 3 things here I need to discuss specifically on this. First thing on the ordinance, page 99, B there in the middle of the page, I want to add, instead of collision hall 125, I want to have the fees, change that to where the fees according to the memorandum of understanding. That way we can update those as, you know, with the increase in cost. As it come up. Second thing, over on the memorandum of understanding, of course, this is just a general idea of a MOU that we would do with a contractor, and this is to give us guidance on how we want to do this. On page 101, number 1, I want to add fees will be according to the attached fee schedule. In that service expectations under part 1. And then we've got a fee schedule that was used at the last time the city looked at this back in 15, and these should be pretty well up to date on this fee schedule. Also, there's another section here that was brought to my attention where it talks about equipment and personnel. Want to add in there, contractors must own, lease, or have access to adequate equipment. So that will make it to where we basically got 2 companies in town that are interested in doing the hauling for us, and I've visited with those, and they're both still interested. So hopefully that will cover our both our companies. If not, we can definitely go in and make this make some changes to make sure we're not eliminating somebody that is willing to work for us here in the city.
So when you say you're adding what to equipment and personnel, is at the end, adequate equipment?
On 102, where it says equipment and personnel, contractor must own, lease, or have access to adequate equipment.
Or access.
Or have access to, sorry about that. Now, I think we'll cover both of our tollers we have in town, and get us where we need to be.
So it doesn't eliminate anybody from.
Exactly, we don't want to eliminate anybody.
Okay. I asked Kenny to be here, and Kenny Williams.
He's almost here.
Is he almost here?
Yeah, on 7th Street.
Because he was questioning that, and I was curious about that. There are a couple, are you done speaking?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. A couple things I'd like to address in this is, number one, I guess overall, I don't know anything about the record business at all. Did Brian get with Kenny and Buddy and discuss this with them before he put it together or after he put it together to see if there's anything that they might have a conflict with? Because I know that TDLR, Texas Department of License and Regulations, manages a lot of this in the state of Texas. And they have to go by a lot of those regulations when they do towing and whatever they do. That's not my business, but I was wondering if you, and he can't, unfortunately can't say a word in this situation because it affects his business, but Kenny can. Kenny, do you know TDLR handles all the licensing and regulations for towing?
Yes, they do.
All right. Have you had a copy of this memorandum of understanding, all the regulations that we were looking at tonight?
No, I haven't got a copy of it. I want to leave it just like it was in 15, the way we had it designed before, the way we signed our contract. I want to redo it just like that, and that's the way I want it to be. Because, I mean, I've done this for 44 years in Littlefield and Lamb County. And we worked it out, we've got it smooth going, it works good for everybody, and that's the way we want to do it. It's safe for the city, it protects the city. TDLR has us to have certain insurances and things to cover the city, and that's what we're trying to do, keep it where it's safe for the city so nobody can fall back and sue the city. But we also want to provide services to take care of the city, and that's why we want it just like we had.
So what is changing in this than what we have done is the memorandum of understanding?
Yeah, the body of it, the idea was to not have to go back to the council each time the contract wound up, and then we could just redo a new contract without having to come back to the council. But, y'all could direct tonight to go back and incorporate all that into the memorandum of understanding.
Well, we'd probably have to do that anyway if rates changed or whatever was necessary, if it was regulated by the state, if anything came up like that, if they believed that they weren't getting enough to cover their costs, because we have 125, I think is a figure we put in here. Well, rates may go up, and the cost of service may go up, and 125 may not even cover what they are able to do with their equipment.
Well, we have to register everything out with the state of Texas, and I think we need to just go with the way we do it with the state of Texas, because there's a bunch of lawyers with the TDLR deal that make sure we do it right. And that way, if we do something where it throws a red flag, the state tells you, and that way, that's how they let us set our fees, and our fees are all set at a standard across the whole state of Texas.
Well, what we can do, if y'all wanna go ahead and go forward with this tonight, approve the ordinance, and then, approve, MOU, according to, legal review and, review of our two local, haulers. And
What I want is to leave it just like it was. I don't want no new ordinance. I don't see no sense in wasting a bunch of time writing a bunch of new stuff when it's already working good. I mean, that's just what I want.
The way I understand it is we're just doing a memorandum of understanding, that way we don't have to come back every 4 years and.
Yeah, well, that's fine with me. I mean, I don't have a problem with that part. I just don't want to go
Yeah.
write a bunch of new stuff, adding a bunch of stuff in. We've already hammered it out and, got it where it works
I don't
good.
think we're adding or subtracting anything. I think we're just adding that one part. That way we don't have to come back every 4 years and approve the ordinance every 4 years. I think the way Mr. Grant is talking, it's just an understanding.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well,
is that correct?
Is the wording of the memorandum of understanding, is this set, is this what we're going to use other than the changes in which Mr. Grant had mentioned?
I mean, if that is
Okay.
what's approved, yes.
Well, then I have
mean,
a couple of questions with it, about it, because some of them are, I would say, somewhat arbitrary. When you leave the decisions say for instance on the page 101, last paragraph, about 3 lines up, says contractor's failure to remedy the complaints to the city's reasonable satisfaction will be reason to have the contractor removed indefinitely from the city's record service. It's hard for somebody to look at reasonable satisfaction and know that there's a definite idea of how that's going to be controlled. I believe those words need to be changed so that somebody knows definitely what's going to happen in this situation. Reasonable satisfaction is arbitrary.
well, do we wanna, I mean, if y'all want to, we can postpone this, till the next meeting and get that all incorporated together and bring it back.
Any other items?
Actually, the next page, the next paragraph, the next top paragraph says the same thing. Yeah, it says there, in its sole discretion, regardless of the outcome of each complaint, let me see here, mark my note. Oh, yeah. Second line, reasonable and appropriate. Reasonable and appropriate is another arbitrary wording. And then the next thing is the second sentence says the city may at any time elect to permanently remove contractor from the rotation list based on, among other things. The nature and number of complaints received, let's take among other things out of there, unless we know what those among other things are.
Yeah, because you're gonna have a drunk, he's gonna complain about everything. Today, I got cussed out by a drunk.
Where
I
was
told to be,
It's the last sentence
You're
of
gonna
that
be
top
angry about
paragraph on page
everything.
102.
that's why I think we need to leave it just like it was and do nothing to it.
Is there something you're trying to remedy or cure for, other than just not having to come back to approve contracts every day?
Well, that was a recommendation from attorney that we kind of use this system, because most cities don't have a really heavy-duty ordinance for wrecking. It's usually controlled by contract, and then there's just a general ordinance that says you'll do it by memorandum or contract, and then leave the contract stuff to the attorney and the contractors.
Well, I don't think Kenny
I
has
was
a
just kind
problem
of
with
following
signing
the
MOU.
legal recommendations.
I don't think Kenny has and supposedly Mr. Holmes here doesn't have any problem signing a MOU. He won't say either way, but that's not a problem with that. I think that we need to make sure that the wording, though, does not eliminate anybody from, and put somebody in a situation that is, you don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, for 40 years, we haven't had a semi-record in Littlefield.
Well, what we can do, Brian, if that sounds all right with you, if y'all want to approve the ordinance,
Just come back.
or bring it back, the whole thing back again.
Bring it back.
And because we don't have any wrecking experience myself, being one of those, I would think that we could have it reviewed by the actual people who will be doing that before it's brought to us, so that we don't have any questions about it.
That's the way we've done before, we all got together and then because what you don't realize is we're a book of knowledge on the record service because TDLR makes us take tests, makes us stay up to date all the time. It's just like a doctor or a teacher has to go do upgrading stuff, or a lawyer or whatever, we have to do that too. So we know what's legal and what's not, and we're not in business to cause anybody to get sued or get in a big problem. We're in business to make a living and to support and help Littlefield.
We definitely don't want to eliminate anybody from.
So how about y'all sit down with the record companies, the chief of police, to make sure y'all are getting your things addressed that you need, and we'll come back and do it again.
Okay.
That sounds very good, I appreciate that.
So no action on number 9. Moving on, next we'll consider and approve a resolution to approve the runway realignment feasibility study with the Texas Department of Transportation for improvements to the Littlefield Taylor Brown Municipal Airport.
A short memo on there of, we've brought this to LEDCA and they agreed to pay for the match for the feasibility study. $166,666 and 10% match would be $16,666. So, that's what you have before you there.
And the feasibility study, which AEDC is paying for this, the feasibility study will do what?
The feasibility study is to conduct a runway realignment study.
To be able to apply for state and federal grants as part of that application process.
Yes.
Is there any discussion on this item?
So this map that's included, you know, looking at that, is that page 118 part of this?
Yes.
You have there a portion of this marked out as Air Park. Is that what the feasibility study is for?
It would contain some of that. That's going to be up to y'all if we want to cordon off part of that. There's a lot of economic development that can happen around the airport, and you know, there's some things like overhaul companies and things like that that can really be a good economic development thing for the city. And this would include us maybe cordoning off some acreage there for that.
do we have adequate infrastructure, water, sewer, electric in that area for industrial park?
No.
There's water to the airport. I mean, if it would be a huge user of water, there would need to be an additional line, but everything out there would be septic because it's not close enough to it.
Would probably, out there, you would probably be looking at a septic system for wastewater, and then we do have water out there, that's right, through the same deal.
What kind of volume does Sunnydale provide out there? Or could they provide?
It's not a big volume. There's not a huge user out there. The water mainly is used for ag and that's really about it. So in order to put in a heavy water user out there, we'd have to have a larger line running up to the airport.
This is part of, Justin has talked about this with economic development, potential of being able to get like a shop in that does overhauls and annuals for planes that are in other small towns. They could come out here and be a part of this business air park and lease land and build a building out there and be a part of that. But I mean, there's not going to be a manufacturing plant out there. It's going to be airport related businesses. And so, basically more than likely would be toilets and just low volume water usage. Manufacturing wouldn't really be the point of that.
Where do current airplane owners go right now for those overhauls? Do they do them in their own hangars here?
No, they don't.
No, typically the annuals or what, I mean, we got people here that probably know more about this, but a lot of times they'll have to remove the engine and ship it somewhere to have it overhauled and then ship it back for a plane.
They'll fly. It depends on the level of plane. I mean, if it's larger planes, they may go to Dallas or Houston or some bigger city. Small planes, like what is really common in this area too. I'm not sure where the closest shop is. Lubbock, Aero probably has that. My understanding is they're pretty busy and booked up, and I mean, there's opportunities that somebody else may come. This just having this air park allows economic development. It doesn't do any infrastructure improvements out there. It just cordons off a park that says if some company wants to come relocate here and have a primary air user of it, like FedEx, but FedEx isn't going to come to Littlefield, could lease space for that. But a feasibility study is a lot to do with this green runway, with this new runway we've been trying to do for the past 6 years. Getting that runway, and that's part of this. The Texas Department of Aviation, their lady was down here a month, 6 weeks ago, and she's the one that suggested we need to go ahead and do this feasibility study. It's part of continuing to apply with these letters of interest and the grant process. The feasibility study is part of that, and it's just one more thing that gets us closer to the finish line. This is just basically, Mitch, why are we doing this? To approve LEDC's expenditure of this, basically?
No, in order to do the feasibility study, the TxDOT has to have a resolution from us to authorize it.
If there's no further discussion, can we get a motion to?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for runway feasibility study with the Texas Department of Transportation.
Second that. Motion's been made by Michael, seconded by Eric. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll consider and approve the resolution number 2019-0924 to change the name of the Littlefield Taylor Brown Municipal Airport by adding reference to an industrial airport. Mitch?
This kind of goes along with the previous item. completely your choice whether to mess with this or not. I do feel like some kind of reference to industrial air park would be good to help in economic development. When people see the name of the airport, they could associate our interest in economic development at the airport. Got a few different recommendations on names. Getting pretty long. I mean, that's the only downside to it. But we talked about Littlefield Taylor Brown Municipal Airport and Industrial Park Air Park. Littlefield Taylor Brown Industrial Air Park. Littlefield Taylor Brown Air Park and Industrial Air Park. Airport and Industrial Air Park. Those are just some recommendations if you want to do that. Completely your choice.
But this is not mandatory.
No.
I would say that since we just now approved a feasibility study, probably wait until it's feasible to actually change that to air park, which means that they might say, hey, yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
Part of this with it gives the EDC, Economic Development Corporation, it gives them more latitude to participate in projects out there by having the industrial air park on the name. It gives them more latitude to participate in more improvement projects and addition of economic development activities out there. This is the reason why this is being brought to them.
I don't think the EDC will be spending any more money until a feasibility project has come back, though. I mean,
Feasibilities for the runway, it's just as part of this, they're designing, not feasibility, doesn't even have anything to do with the air park part of it.
Yes, it would lay out, it would cordon off a couple of little sections, but there's one thing about economic development in the airport is that could happen at any time. We might get somebody in here that wants to build a hangar to do airport mechanic work or something like that. You know, I mean, that could happen. I mean, I'm not saying that it will happen before we get a feasibility study done, but that's, I mean, it's something that could happen anytime. I mean, all it is a phone call if we get somebody interested in spending some money or creating some jobs at the airport. As long as it's general aviation, it's completely allowed.
We would want to change it to the Littlefield Taylor Brown Municipal Airport and Industrial Air Park. Makes the most sense for what you're trying to do, correct?
Yes.
Anybody make a motion for that name change?
I'll make a motion that we make the change to the airport name to the Littlefield Taylor Brown Municipal Airport and Industrial Air Park. I feel that anything that we can do is going to help progress our city. I mean, it's just a name change. It's nothing that's going to be major. I think we just need to do what we can to help us move forward. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made by Kenny, seconded by Michael. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will have a public hearing on Tuesday, September 24th, 2019 at 6 p.m. in the City Council Chambers, 525 Phelps Avenue, Littlefield, Texas, to receive comments regarding the proposed disannexation of an area, the 30-acre tract of land on which the Texas Civil Commitment Center, Bill Clayton facility is located, on request of the owner of the property, the City of Littlefield. Mitch, if you'll give a quick overview of the public hearing.
The city is anticipating disannexation of 30 acres where the Civil Commitment Center sits. there was a lot else to say about that, really.
At this time, I'll close the regular city council meeting and open up a public hearing. If you have a comment, please approach the podium. You have 3 minutes. State your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Anybody that would like to speak on this particular item, now's your time. If there is no one to speak about the public hearing, I now close this public hearing and reopen the regular city council meeting. This time, we will consider and approve an ordinance to disannex certain territory from the corporate limits of the city of Littlefield, to wit, the 30-acre tract of land on which the Texas Civil Commitment Center Bill Clayton facility is located, the legal description of said property provided herein, to amend the corporate limits of the city to comply with said disannexation, providing for repealing, savings, and severability clauses, finding that all necessary and required legal conditions have been satisfied, and finding proper notice of meeting and providing an effective date. So, Mitch or Brian, do you have?
This is ordinance for your consideration. We talked about this, and now it's time for action. We need to approve the ordinance to disannex or not. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
My only comment on this is that I was actually on the city council when we annexed this property. We annexed it for the express reason of economic development. And I don't see a change in that particular aspect of it, because if we were to sell it, and still bring tax revenue to the city of Littlefield. That's all I have to say right now.
For a motion to approve this ordinance?
I make a motion to approve it.
Motion's been made by Buddy. Is there a second? Second. Motion's been seconded by Michael. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
One opposed?
Let the record show, please.
One opposed, Mr. Warren. The motion carries. Next, if the council approves the ordinance to disannex certain territory from the corporate limits of the city of Littlefield as provided for in item 13, the previous item, consider and approve an interlocal agreement with Lamb County pursuant to the authority of Chapter 362 of the Texas Local Government Code for Law Enforcement Mutual Aid at the Texas Civil Commitment Center Bill Clayton facility. Brian?
So you've got a handout of this. It's given that the facility's been disannexed, and so it's no longer obviously in the city limits. And so original jurisdiction for law enforcement purposes lies with the county. And so Chapter 362 of the Local Government Code authorizes, two different local governments to contract so that the city can provide law enforcement services out there at the facility. And so that's what this agreement does. The county has not approved it yet. They'll need to approve it as well. But it just provides that we continue, our officers are authorized to act out there even though it's not within our original jurisdiction.
There is a strong legal argument that we could anyways.
True. Yeah, it's just based on the fact that we're a home rule municipality and it's property that we own. But this makes it even clearer and kind of sets out a few terms between the county and the city on how things, for example, if there are Public Information Act requests related to matters, law enforcement matters at the facility, the city would handle those because we're primarily taking care of those things. So it's good to have something like this. Again, the county will need to approve it as well. And so if there's any drastic changes, then we would bring it back if there's any substantive changes and get those approved. But we do ask that this be approved, and then, like I said, if there's anything major that they don't like, we've talked about it in concept, but we haven't because we just finished the draft today, and so given it to the county to review.
This is more of a good faith effort towards the county. The sheriff's office just was concerned that they don't want to have to handle the law enforcement out there. And so this was just to basically say the way that it's been doing, the city will continue to do that. We do have the legal right because we own the property, but it just clarifies that the city will still do the police activities at the facility as they have in the past. There is only one structural change that I think needs mentioned in Article 5.2. The parties expressly agree that any money or property seized in connection with these law enforcement activities will be retained by the party which its original jurisdiction lies. And Chief, there's never really much property seized, but in the event there is, you want the ability to
Yes, sir.
retain that. So that would just need to be changed to retained by the city.
Yes, sir. Statistically speaking, Chief, if something were to happen, criminal nature out there, would that be separate from the city of Littlefield statistics? Or would it be included in the city of Littlefield statistics?
That's a good question. It's city property. I'm assuming that it would still affect the city of Littlefield statistics. The biggest thing that it's going to be a benefit for is the sex offender statistics. So we're not going to glow like a red beacon in the night as a sex offender city.
This, of course, was prepared and recommended approval basically just to send it to the county if they, just to give the sheriff's office and the county some understanding. I've had conversations with the judge and he understands, but this is more of a good faith effort towards the sheriff's office that, hey, we're just going to maintain this as we have. So, any further discussion? Chief?
Regarding Mr. Warren's question a minute ago, ever since MTC took over, our call load out there has dropped dramatically. They've been handling a lot more stuff in-house. So the 1 or 2 calls we get a month is a lot better than the 12.5 calls we used to get. So it's worked out a lot better since there's been a change in companies out there.
They're doing a great job. There's no further discussion. Can we get a motion to approve this ordinance?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve this interlocal agreement with Land County with the necessary changes and paragraph 5.2 stated.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion been made by Kenny, seconded by Buddy, that we approve this interlocal agreement. Do we need to say anything about minor terms?
No, yeah, if there's any substantive changes, we'll bring it back that the county proposes. I mean, if they find a typo or something, obviously, we'll just make that change, but.
Is there any further discussion? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will consider and approve City of Littlefield GIS system upgrade. Mitch?
This was kind of debatable whether or not I needed to bring this to you, but the old 3CGO contract was actually approved by the council, so I thought it was probably best to get approval on this. We want to upgrade, Justin and I have been kind of looking at this, and we want to upgrade our GIS system from the old 3CGO. The old one was really simple, but it didn't have very many capabilities as far as use for the city and for doing proposals to companies. The Esri is the standard that everybody uses to ArcMap to do proposals. And the original GIS was shared with, I think it was about $30,000 for a startup. It was shared, costs were shared with LADCA. I went back to them for this project. It's a lot cheaper to move the shape files over and to create a different system than it was to create it originally. But Economic Development has agreed to fund $5,000 one-time startup for this thing. Long term, it should save us about $2,000 a year on our budget, just because the operation costs are a lot less. But Justin's here. I know Justin looked at it.
Yes, sir. So just to piggyback off Mr. Grant's comments there, Esri is basically the gold standard. The system we have now is a decent system to use, but we're pretty limited. As you asked the question of what are the infrastructures down at the airport currently, this tool will allow us to, we own those rights currently, but with the system that we have now, we're limited on what we can show on those maps. The detail and the resolution of those maps are pretty inferior to what we'd be able to do with this system. So, you know, currently contacted by site selectors now, we're pretty limited on what, and those are pretty big questions that they're asking. And if we're not sending out effective proposals to these site selectors, we're missing out on opportunities. As Mr. Grant stated, it is going to be cost effective in the future since we own those rights for those shape files. So it's going to be a pretty cool, smooth integration to the new system. And I've got a lot of experience with this platform, and it would definitely assist us in creating some nice proposals for prospects coming to the city of Locally.
Is this going to be a cloud-based system, or is it going to be stored on a server somewhere?
Currently, the way the system works now with the 3CGO, we run off of the server, so we're pretty limited based on users. A lot of Texas cities utilize that same server. So along with efficiency, it will clear up some space. We will have the ability to put it on the website, but in regards to everybody accessing the information that we have, we would own those rights and be able to restrict what we, for example, something I would like to have is available properties. Prior to a site selector speaking to me, they could go on there and say, we're interested in this site, and then we could provide them with additional details from there.
Being that goes to the ArcGIS online group, they're all set up to publish this stuff online.
So does that online mean that it's just online access, or is it actually stored there? Do you store it on our server in the city of Littlefield, or is it stored on their server?
We keep data files as a backup, but the files are stored with the ArcGIS.
In your geodatabases, will they be online or will they be on your server?
I will have access to be able to utilize it anywhere. So if I go to a show that we're, prospect industrial, I would be able to have a tablet, and I'd be able to basically create a proposal within, minutes. So I would have access to those.
Is this similar to what the appraisal district has right now, or are they using something?
They use an Esri system. A lot of the appraisal districts do. Lamb County's website does not have the mapping functions as others do, but other counties contract with a service that is an Esri-based system. But a lot of your bigger cities and stuff use Esri too. Just it's a three-dimensional CAD software basically.
Well, I guess the question is, would citizens or anybody interested be able to look it up online and say, I found a property?
A limited amount. They'll be able to look at a lot of things like ownership, things like that, but there are a few things that are protected from, because of.
Now, are you tying that data in with the appraisal district so it's up to date with theirs, or are you going to have duplicate data? How's that going to work?
It links in with them like it does now. It's a link that, you can pull up a map on our system that shows all the owners of properties. You can do an outline. The Esri, I've used that in 3 different cities. And for instance, you can outline a set of properties that will highlight, and you'll be able to do things with that set of property. The system we have now, it's not very functional. You have to do things one at a time, draw things manually that just click and calculate stuff with Esri will do. Like, for instance, Janine will be able to do zoning notification in just a few minutes, where now it probably takes you several hours to do all the notifications and stuff. This thing, you can click on a shape file and tell it to give you every property within 200 feet for zoning notifications, print you out a sheet or print out envelopes or addresses to all the properties, that instead of having to estimate how far 200 feet is around a piece of property, it'll actually give you some good things you can use, and big time saver for us at City Hall, and a big tool for Justin to be able to put together a snappy proposal to potential business.
To answer your question, Ben, there's geodatabases for all kinds of different stuff. There's public, there's federal layers, there's state level layers, but the tax appraisal districts are done by, I can't remember the company that does those, that does most of them in the United States, or this part of the United States, but
True Automation.
that's not the company that goes and gets the information, but True Automation does do kind of the interface for it. But they're, those will be, you'll be able to use those shape files.
Okay. Thank you, Justin, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the GIS update.
Second. Motion's been made by Ben, seconded by Michael to approve the GIS system upgrade. Is there any further discussion? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. Next, we'll consider and approve tax deeds for trust properties in the city of Littlefield from Texas Community Groups. These properties begin on page 134. Mitch, have these all been vetted?
Yeah.
One of them is a local name. None of them have any outstanding
No.
debts or liens. As has been our process in the past, if they're researched and if there's no outstanding debts or liens, we generally approve them. Any questions on this? None, can I get a motion to approve the sale of these property 20329 and 19045?
I make a motion, we approve the tax deeds to trust properties from the Texas Community Group. First property 20329, second property 19045.
Motion's been made by Michael, is there a second? Second by Ben. Is there any further discussion? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. That is it for tonight. Thank you for all that came. We are adjourned.